Good afternoon, everybody. It's Daniel Knowles, Mega Social, and I hope you're having a good day and looking forward to a great weekend. So, the title of this short video clip is "You Are Not Your Social Media Profile," and it's come from a book that I'm reading at the moment. I'm reading a book called "So You've Been Publicly Shamed," and it's by a guy called John Ronson. It's about how people are publicly shamed on social media. So if people come out with a comment or something about maybe a political challenge or political unrest or something to do with a race issue or religion or something, it's kind of how we as consumers of social media information then jump onto certain comments and criticize and make judgment, and you see sort of comment threads or retweets or tweets when somebody says something. And there's a really interesting story from several years ago about a lady called Justine Sarko, who was an executive for a big PR company, and she had very few followers on Twitter, and she was going out to Africa, and she made a bit of well, it was an ill-informed tweet. It was a poor quality tweet, joking about the spread of AIDS and HIV in Africa, and it was, it was really it was somebody's on the face of things what looked like an attempt at humour, and it was just really poor quality, crass comment, and the kind of story, the funny thing about the story is she sent the tweet before she got on the plane, and then the plane flight was for the flight was like 10 hours long, and during that time the tweet was picked up by a journalist who had thousands of followers, and he retweeted it, and it was brought into question very quickly that this lady was from this big PR company and shouldn't be making jokes about such a sensitive subject, and nobody should really. And this was it led to this lady getting sacked. She lost a job. Her whole life was basically turned upside down. And she was shamed by millions of people all jumping onto this tweet and criticising her. And some of the stuff in reaction was really quite horrible in terms of what people were saying about her. And she had to live with the consequences of that, and so be it. But I think the thing that I took from that is that I see people post on social media all the time, sort of from in terms of personal use and for business, and people will say things that I don't know, make jokes or make tongue-in-cheek remarks, or often put some quite extreme comments about something that's in the mainstream press, and the comments or the status updates or the tweets themselves can be really quite controversial. And I suppose what I'm getting at is that behind these tweets, behind comments, behind status updates, it is a person. And, we've seen it lately with Brexit and things like that. There, people comment on something and put a viewpoint on it, and then others jump on it and start criticising them. And it's kind of this idea that, behind all that is still a person who probably doesn't have, really controversial ideas about how life should be lived, and if you speak to them in person, are probably just quite normal and not controversial. But unfortunately, because they put something out there on social media which can often be misconstrued or misjudged, they can then suffer the consequences of that and be blamed and be judged and be shamed. And it can be quite awful, really, quite horrible. And it's quite scary to think that we have the power now to be really critical of people on social media and hide behind a screen. So this is kind of a little bit of a plea to everybody out there, really. Next time you see something on social media, somebody puts something out there, and perhaps you don't necessarily agree with it, or it's not how you think about certain things, just take time to maybe, I don't know, just take time before you react. Don't criticise. Don't go straight for the throat. Just kind of think about where it came from, and if it's a stupid comment, maybe it's worth kind of just, I don't know, ignoring it or letting it go by, because eventually it'll kind of fall off the face of the planet and everyone will forget about it and it'll be gone. Bear it in mind as someone who's tweeting or putting statuses update out there that you're under scrutiny. People can find the history of what you've written in the past and analyse it. But at the same time, whoever you are, if somebody writes something or puts something out there, don't always take it at face value. Think about the person behind it. And certainly don't let it affect a relationship that you have with another person. At the end of the day, we're humans and not everything should be online. We have to see people in real life. We have to have conversation. We have to have relationships offline. So when you see stuff like that and you are kind of, affected by it quite differently, don't jump the gun and think, hey, I've got to be critical and I've got to shame and this person needs me to retweet it and put what a stupid thing I used to say. Sometimes just stand by and think, perhaps not how I approach things, but let's not make that situation any worse for that person. So that's kind of my thought for the day. That's my thought for today, everybody. I hope it's worthwhile. I hope it kind of encourages people to just sort of consider before they maybe post things in future. Consider yourself for your personal brand, but also consider that other person that you're going to comment on and what you're going to do in terms of their conversation. Okay, so listen, have a great bank holiday weekend. Go and enjoy yourselves. Go and party hard. We've got some absolutely brilliant interviews coming up. Some great interviews lined up. So keep an eye out because there's one next Wednesday afternoon and then the following Friday, September the 9th, 2 brilliant interviews that I'm really looking forward to. In the meantime, if you've got any questions, if you know anyone who wants help with social media, if you know any organisations that need social media management or training or consultancy for strategy, then get in touch with Mega Social, drop us a message. That'd be great. Okay, take care. See you now.